Hey everyone, this is our monthly ministry update from the Lilley family. This is our first one, the first month. I've been sending out a ministry newsletter now for like 10 or 12 years via email. We thought we would try to do a video together now to go along with it. And this is going to be fun. So Shepard's been helping out, especially on the podcast that we've been doing with the Presence Pioneers podcast. And so we're going to share, obviously there's a lot of craziness going on in the world right now with the COVID-19 stuff. And so everything is kind of changing and shifting and uncertain for the future. But for the month of March, we have some updates. Do you want to share about the podcast first?
Sure. So I started helping out with the podcast a few weeks ago. I really wanted to be able to use what I can bring to the table in a way that would help with what Matthew's doing so that we could be working on the same thing together in the same direction. And so when he reached out about needing help with the podcast, I offered my services and told him to let me try. And it's been fun. I get to listen to all the podcasts early, all the interviews, and they're all really good. And sometimes I think people think it's going to come across as a little bit like too complicated or intense or whatever. And as a more middle of the road, fun times person, I actually have really enjoyed listening to all of the content. So if you haven't yet, because you're worried that it's going to be like Matthew level deep, it's actually very accessible and really enjoyable to listen to.
What does that mean?
So you should try it out, especially the ones that we just did with David Bradshaw, because those are exciting. So
awesome. So we've gotten up to where we're releasing an episode every week right now on Thursdays. So last month I was getting out about one or two every month, and so now Shepard's helping, and we've got another friend named Johan who's up in Canada who's helping edit some of the audio. And so we releasing tons of content, interviews, and teachings to equip the worship and prayer movement. So because we believe God's presence changes everything. And we've got shirts to prove it. We've got new Presence t-shirts. So we'd love for you to buy one. I'm going to put the link in the description. We're going to have a couple weeks where these shirts are going to be for sale, and all the proceeds are going to go to Presence Pioneers to help with the podcast and everything else that we're going after. And then you have a cool t-shirt, and it's all about Jesus. And so you should buy one.
yes. Get off Amazon and get on to Presence Pioneers.
There we go. We'll put the link in the description. So a couple things with the Burn 24/7 and Awaken the Dawn. Again, everything's kind of crazy with the coronavirus and all that's happened. So a lot of what I've been working on in recent months has been planning regional gatherings. We were supposed to have one in California in March and Atlanta in April. And unfortunately, we've had to postpone both of those, which is a real bummer. We've got another one in Pittsburgh in May that we're not sure if we're going to be able to do that one or not. So that was a lot of what I was going to be working on for the spring. And so we're having to postpone all of our in-person gatherings, unfortunately, which is a bit of a bummer. However, we've had a lot of connection happening digitally and virtually. In fact, on Burn USA side of things, we had a nationwide 48-hour virtual burn this past weekend, which we've never done. I don't know if anyone's ever done anything quite like this, actually, where we had one live stream, but we had worship leaders taking sets from all over America that were connected to the Burn movement. And so every hour or two, we'd have a different worship leader that would jump on and would live stream, but it was one continuous feed. And we had thousands of people actually that checked in, probably people that may have not wanted to visit a Burn, but they would click on the live stream on Facebook and tune in. There was at least one person that commented and their back got healed while they were watching. The pain disappeared, their back was hurting. And so we believe God was touching people. It really brought unity and energized our prayer communities and across America. And so that was really cool. And then with Awaken the Dawn, they took up the baton Sunday night when the Burn finished. Awaken the Dawn launched what's called the Living Room Revival. And so we're doing the same idea basically, but for 2 weeks, nonstop, 24 hours a day. People from all over America are taking slots to worship and to pray from their living rooms, called the Living Room Revival. So even though we can't do gatherings and prayer rooms or anything like that right now, because everything is shutting down, we're continuing to minister to the Lord, and we're continuing to pray, we're continuing to worship. And so that's been pretty cool to just see the prayer movement really engaged and continuing to connect together, probably even more so than ever. And I think I'm realizing that we probably should have done this a long time ago, because we could probably have had a 24/7 virtual prayer room with people from all over America, and it's actually reaching a lot more people than a lot of times will show up to our burn events or our prayer room. So that's pretty cool. So that's what we've been focused on, just trying to navigate with leadership teams. What are we going to do in the coming months? And we're not totally sure, but we're going to continue to try to do this online worship and prayer. We're connecting with our leaders and communities via Zoom and phone calls right now, and we're realizing how important it is that we've spent years developing unity and connection among people all over America, because they're really relying on it right now. So that's kind of what's happening in the burn world, ATD world right now, and we're just kind of touch and go on some of our future plans, because we really have no idea how things are going to pan out with COVID-19 moving forward. So we're just prayerful and watching and waiting. So how about family? You want to give a quick personal update, family update?
Of course I do. So we're at home all the time, like everybody else.
All of us all the time right now.
Not the most unusual, since we homeschool anyway, but also having Matthew working from home, adminning all of this constant virtual stuff has been interesting. Trying to keep kids quiet at the right time, that kind of thing.
Like right now.
Like right now. And, trying to prepare for the best case scenario and the worst case scenario at the same time, just in case, because we're not sure, like he said, which way anything will go, because we were working on getting our house ready to sell and talking to a realtor, and now nobody's going anywhere anyway. So we have a lot of extra time to work on our house to get it ready to sell. We just have now no clue what the window will be for when that happens. So we're trusting that we heard right, and what's coming up next is moving back east. And so we're just waiting to see what the actual timing is going to work out to be. And so since we're all home together all the time right now, that's kind of where all 6 of us are all the time, is waiting together to see what happens day to day with where things are going.
Yeah.
So.
And so in terms of prayer requests, that's a big one, just wisdom. How do we navigate this move right now? The timing of everything. How do we navigate ministry leadership? So if you pray for us, just pray for wisdom, pray for grace and peace in our home right now, while we're all here all the time, trying to do everything together all at once. Those are huge points of prayer. So just wanted to say thank you to our monthly partners with Presence Pioneers. Thank you so much for your faithful partnership during this time. We really appreciate it. Thank you to those of you who pray for us. We really appreciate that. Those of you who are watching this, but you don't usually get our newsletter, you're welcome to subscribe to get updates every month. We just send out a newsletter once a month, and I think we're going to try to include a video with that every month. So you can go to presencepioneer.com, my website, and sign up for the emails there, and buy a t-shirt.
Woohoo!
Buy a present shirt. Anything else?
I think you covered it. That sounds perfect.
I think we're good. Thanks, guys. See ya. Bye. Peace.
Bye.